Today we are going to talk about the New Orleans Saints steal of the draft, in my opinion, which is Danny Stutsman. All right, Danny Stutsman, linebacker. One of my favorite picks, maybe my second favorite pick in the NFL draft behind Kelvin Banks, or for the Saints behind Kelvin Banks. So we have CBS's scouting team here. Now, this is from a couple months ago. I like to go back, all right, because when we get closer to the draft time, you get a lot of copy and paste. You get a lot of everyone's saying the same thing. But when you go all the way back to beginning of the season, college football season, you get a lot of like, well, anything could be right. So people are just saying what they truly believe. And, you know, it's a lot less of that copy and paste, be afraid to be wrong and whatnot. So this is from 267 days before the NFL draft. This is the boys at CBS talking about Danny Stutsman. Now, we're going to go through and look at his combine numbers and compare him with some other linebackers, and I'm explaining to you exactly why you should be excited about Danny Stutsman.
Also tied for third in our aggregate rankings. Danny Stutsman out of Oklahoma. Let me make sure I get the numbers right. I thought watching him, he looked smallish on tape. He didn't play small, but he's actually 6'3", 241. So.
All right, so off the bat, he's there. All three of theirs, linebacker 3, okay? Linebacker 3.
So, Rick, you can make jokes about my eyeballs if you'd like. But, Rick, I'll start with you. What do you think about Danny Stutsman, linebacker out of Oklahoma? He's a senior this year.
Yeah, he's one of the bigger guys in this class, but moves like a small guy. He's long, he's lean, he's athletic, really good speed and range, sideline to sideline. I think he needs to play more violent off blocks like we talked about all these guys, but I thought he was good in coverage. Buzzing to the flat, reacting to routes in front of him. I thought he can flip his hips and run with any vertical threat down the seam. He's the one that does need to show better awareness.
Tell you what, walk on down to the end of Bourbon, 3-for-1 at Cat's Meow, you'll be flipping them hips, I tell you that much.
Some routes that develop behind him, those deep in routes where they get behind him a little bit. I thought he had good timing and bursts as an inline blitzer. Really patient to wait for the seam to open up, and then you see him go.
All right, before Spielman puts me to sleep, Jesus Christ, let's take a look at some numbers here. So real quick, what do you think about Danny Stutsman? Like, if you don't know who he is, just YouTube a clip or something. Now remember, Jod Campbell was like the guy, okay, until Jod Campbell got hurt or whatever. Who do you think is more athletic? Jod Campbell or Danny Stutsman? Who do you think is faster? Okay. Would it surprise you? This is Jod Campbell's RAS score. This is his combine. So Jod Campbell is a 9.88 at the RAS score. Okay. 6 foot. I mean, you can read all this, right? Height, weight, broad jump, 40, 4.52, 40, 2.66, 20, 1.58, 10. Okay. Look at Danny Stutsman. 4.52 40 for Jod Campbell, 4.52 40 for Stutsman. 2.66 20, 2.63 for Stutsman. 1.58 for Campbell, 1.56 for Stutsman. You could argue, now there's a lot of other stuff, you know, you got to start looking at the cone drill, look at a lot of other, but you could argue that Danny Stutsman's faster than Jod Campbell. Height, you look at the height, now I got it all jacked up here. 6'3", 233 for Stutsman, 6'2", basically 6'3" for Campbell, 235. So Stutsman is bigger and faster than Jod Campbell, or at least as big and as fast. 9.61 RAS score. What hurt him was the vertical. Didn't do a broad jump. Campbell had an elite broad jump, which is why Campbell gets the higher RAS grade. So Stutsman is a low-key, high-key, low-key athlete. Now let's look at the PFF grades. This is his last year at Oklahoma. So they have him listed as 6'4", 241. Let's relax, PFF. Jesus. I mean, are they even rounding? Yeah, they're rounding way up. They're rounding way up. Okay. So last year, you look at his run defense grade, 90.9. His overall defense grade, 76.6. Tackling grade, 73.8. Coverage grade, which, you know, he's not a cornerback. So pretty good stuff. Played 4 years at Oklahoma. Ends up with let's go here. Let's go to his draft profile. So if you look at the draft profile, 12 played, 13 played. Defensive snaps, 709, 722, and 992. Run defense snaps, coverage snaps, tackles, 76, 68, 102 in 2022. Really, really productive player, really impressive player. Big-time grades against LSU, against Missouri, against South Carolina. Strong. And not to mention, big-time athlete, run defense off the charts. Absolutely off the charts on run defense. The 90.9 is startling. So really solid stuff here to get in a fourth-round pick. Like when you're comping him out in the same metrics as someone like Jihad Campbell, who probably would have been the top 10 pick if it's not for his shoulder surgery, you're feeling pretty good about that in round 4, especially when you factor in that Danny Stutsman wears a cowboy collar. And the fact that he wears a cowboy collar means he's going to drop a lick on somebody.
But I think this guy, because of his length and his athleticism, should develop into a really solid starter. And I see him as a 3-down linebacker at the next level.
Ooh-wee. I'm surprised saying what you just said, and I agree with all of it, is you didn't give him the old Jack Campbell comp, but you didn't do that. One of the things that I noticed about him in comparison to the other linebackers, and in general, when you try to watch these guys, very little wasted movement coming downhill because, I mean, you know this better than anyone, Rick. A half step in the wrong direction can really mess things up if you're an off-ball linebacker and you have gap responsibility, or you're trying to do the sideline-to-sideline thing. I felt like he was very good at very little wasted movement as the ball was snapped going forward.
Yeah, it's called instincts.
There you go, instincts. Mike, what are your instincts on Danny Stutsman?
Yeah, I love the frame and the short area quicks at that size. Like he's 241, but he's kind of lean still. Like he could get into the 250s and not even bat an eye.
Listen. If my guy is 6'3", 250 with that RAS score, this guy's gonna be Brian Urlacher. I mean, like that is like Ryan said it. Ryan said he looks small, but he's huge, and he's athletic AF. So if he looks small, Mike's right. He probably can add something to his frame, and in the NFL, especially in New Orleans, it'll be no problem doing that. So if this guy's walking around at 6'3", 250, running a 4.5 and doing the other stuff he's doing,
and I think I love his
Christ.
Angles to ball carries between the tackles, just like how he gets to where he needs to be. It just very, like I said, very efficient and gets around blocks very quickly. He just has a number of ways to beat blocks in his repertoire, even if he's not super refined just yet in that regard. And I think he's willing to stick his nose in it, but he's definitely more of a downhill, play stuff in front of him kind of guy at the moment. But so a big fan of his game, though. I think he could, seeing his progression already in his career, like if he keeps taking another step, I think he could be in the mix for, I guess, like from the other, maybe not in the mix for like Harold Perkins, Abdul Carter, because they're pass rushers, but true off-ball linebacker in this class.
So remember, this is before everything played out in college football, so Harold Perkins is still considered like the first overall pick at this time of the draft. So that's why you mentioned Harold Perkins. But yeah, I mean, he's saying, like Mike is saying, look, right now he's got a chance to be in the conversation for number 1 linebacker. And whether he is 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, there is not a 4-round discrepancy between Stutsman and Jihad Campbell. I'm using Jihad Campbell because he was a first-round linebacker. So that's where like we keep harping on this with the Saints getting value is not only is Stutsman on his own a great pick, not only is he an athlete, not only is he physically impressive, not only is he highly productive at Oklahoma, not only does he have a cowboy collar, not only does he have a 90-plus run defense grade, but now you absorb 4 rounds of value, which is nuts.
And I haven't heard anything about stiffness, so I feel like he can continue to improve in terms of his ability to play in coverage. And these are the conversations you're having with the defensive line, the defense coordinator and the linebackers coach, Rick, and about, okay, how much better can this guy get, right?
Yeah, no, this guy's not stiff.
Right.
I think this guy is a fluid for his size. He moves as good as some of these smaller linebackers.
All right. Knowing that, I have questions about your comp, but that's okay. Go ahead.
I went with Pete Werner when he.
How crazy is that? Now, how crazy is that, ladies and gentlemen? Rick Spielman drops a Pete Werner on you. Just so happens he gets drafted to play alongside Pete Werner.
He came out of Ohio State because I thought this kid was instinctive, and I thought the one thing that made Pete pretty good, has been a pretty good linebacker down in New Orleans that went in the second round, was his instincts. So I kind of went with that comp because of the instincts that I saw.
Yeah, I'm giving you a hard time. I didn't love Pete Werner coming out, but he's been a good football player. Maybe Mickey Loomis, and at the time I think it was Sean Payton a little bit more than I do, but we'll see. Time will tell, Rick. All right.
I mean,
3-0.
Yeah, what's it take? 6 years for you to figure out whether they're good in the NFL or not?
3 years from
Yeah, I think we can go ahead and say Pete Werner's good.
most folks, 6 years for me. I like to take my time. What's the rush? All right, you're 3-0 in the comp game. You've studied during summer school. You might graduate. You might get your cap and gown today, Rick. Here we go. Name the comp, match the comp to the person. KJ Wright, Logan Wilson.
Oh boy, I'm going to go with Mike and KJ Wright.
Did producer Harry give you the answers?
KJ correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. What is going on?
Well, see, Mike held up his end of a bargain today. So
He did his work.
if everybody gives effort, because I know your comps like inside and out, whatever makes the least amount of sense, I'm going to go with.
I think when you look at the Pete Werner comp, I think it lines up perfectly with what to expect out of Danny Stutsman, where you expect high-end, good, like high-end. Stutzman's high-end, I would say, is like, I don't want to say elite, but good linebacker. Good linebacker in the league. A legitimate linebacker in the league. I think his low-end is just a serviceable guy who's going to play for a long time. I mean, I think Stutsman is a 2-contract linebacker. I think he's the kind of guy where he's going to put in a shift. He's going to give you, if he just does what he did at Oklahoma, if he just relies on his instincts and relies on his athleticism, he can absolutely play at the next level, which is the New Orleans Saints. If he does develop, puts on 20 pounds, like Mike said, or learns, develops his coverage skills, all of a sudden then it's like, damn, this guy's a high-level starter in the NFL. And the fact that you got either of those in the 4th round, kudos. So this is how you do it. This is how you do it. Now, I don't want to bust chops here, but you look at the Saints' previous drafts with someone like Jalen Ford out of Texas, who, when Jalen Ford was drafted, and we were told he will not be playing linebacker this year. He's going to play special teams. Ford ends up getting hurt, but he wasn't even going. The plan wasn't even to get him on the field at linebacker his rookie season. Danny Stutsman not only will be on the field his rookie season, but he will be, in my opinion, he'll be a contributor on this team. And he could very quickly be a guy who, when you talk about the New Orleans Saints defense, you just talk about Danny Stutsman. Where just like we say, well, you got Werner, DeMario, that's pretty good. You're feeling pretty good about that. Well, you got Justin Reed, Tyrann, you're feeling pretty good about that. Just like we talk about those players, I think Stutsman is the guy who you will be saying this with next. Brandon Staley, finding this guy, I can't wait to see how they use him. I love the idea of Brandon Staley as our DC. I like him. I like the way he approaches the game. I don't like the way he approached fourth down calls as the head coach with the Chargers, but defensively, I like how he's approaching this, and I'm excited to see how he uses Stutsman. I think Stutsman is underassuming and underrated. I mean, just like Ryan Wilson said, like when you first look at him, you feel like he's smaller. And when can you say that about a 6'3", 250 guy running a 4.5 with a 9.7 RAS score or whatever it was? Like, this is no joke, right? Like, this is legit. Just like Jihad Campbell's numbers are legit. Like, this is strong. Good size, elite speed, and then you marry that with a 90.9 run defense grade, and you marry that with 4 seasons of production in Oklahoma, 709 snaps, 654 snaps, 919 snaps. He is entering the NFL. I mean, think about this. He is entering the NFL with a 9.6 RAS score, 6'3", 250, 4.5, 40, elite level speed, and 2,000 snap, 2,400. I'm going to shortchange him. 2,400 snaps at Oklahoma. Okay? He ain't playing at, name your school. This guy is laying the lumber with a cowboy collar, flipping his hips. Okay? 2 purple drinks from Lafitte's Inn, flipping his hips against Tulane, Tennessee, Auburn, Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Missouri, Alabama, LSU for 4 years. I think Stutsman is a guy get used to with the Saints. And that's kind of the overarching theme with this draft class is get used to Devin Neal, get used to Danny Stutsman, get used to Kelvin Banks. These are guys who you're going to see not only this year, but moving forward. Stutsman, Davis, Werner has me feeling nicey, as John Gruden would say. So Stutsman's probably my second favorite pick of this draft. I like him a lot. Really, really impressed with everything I've seen so far. Really impressed with the RAS numbers. Really impressed with the physical size. The fact that he can add on more. Obviously, I love the 2,400 snaps. I mean, something else, man. I mean, you look at this tweet. Stutsman was drafted, blah, blah, blah. 125 out of 3,204 linebackers from 1987 to 2025 as far as RAS. So that's how high he was there. Very impressive stuff from Stutsman. So let me know in the comments below, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think? Did you realize Stutsman had all this in his locker? Great job, Mickey Loomis. Danny Stutsman. Very excited to see how he plays this year. Ladies and gentlemen, get on down in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video.